Welcome to another Teacher's Corner. I'm Teacher Kirby, and before we get started with this episode, please remember the GoFundMe to help me to get a new computer so I can keep making quality videos for you is still up. You can find the link to that at the top right hand corner of this video. Please check it out. If you can't afford to donate, please share it with your friends, your armada, your fleet, your family, whoever you can think of. Alright, and with that done, moving on. This episode we are taking a look at the Delta Alliance reputation. So the Delta Alliance reputation came to us with the Delta Rising expansion. Alright, so first of all, at Tier 1 with the Delta Rising or Delta Alliance, we get the traits Armor Penetration and Physical Conditioning. These are both ground traits, and Armor Penetration gives increased armor pen, and Physical Conditioning increases your ground run speed. Some people will use the Physical Conditioning trait when they're on in the Winter Wonderland, for example, which this is coming out during Winter Wonderland, as a leg up in the competitive race. Alright, moving right along, we have for space, enhanced armor penetration and advanced engines. So again, these are space versions of the same traits. Ship weapons have increased armor penetration and increases flight speed and turn rate just by a little bit. Alright, next one we have reactive healing accelerator. Crit triggers self-heal. That means when you make a critical hit, you get a little bit of a heal. And then we have rending shots, and that means weapon non-criticals increase crit chance. We'll talk about this in a little bit when we get to the space version. Okay. And moving on, and now we have the space versions of these two. Self-heal on critical hit. Okay, that means when you make a critical hit, you get a self-heal. And then weapon non-crits increase crit chance. Alright, so first of all, having a self-heal on a critical hit might not be such a bad idea if you're looking for survivability and have a decent, and by decent I mean at least 20%, 25% critical chance. Okay? The enhanced rending shots, and this is something I talk to people about a lot. Okay, enhanced rending shots looks good on paper, but really when you get into the nitty-gritty of it, it's not all that great. Most players, especially in the mid to high range, have at least a 20 to 25% critical chance. When you really get into it, it's not that hard to get there. If you have any questions on how to do that, feel free to leave those in the comment section below. But 20 to 25% crit chance, that means that you are hitting a critical hit about every 4 to 5 shots. But this particular ability only adds critical chance if you have not hit a crit. So it only works if you don't crit. And every time you don't crit, every time you don't hit a critical, it's increasing the chance that you will hit a critical. Every time you hit a critical, it wipes that chance, that extra chance, back down to 0. So at most, you're only going to get to about an extra 7% crit chance before it gets back down to nothing. Okay, which may sound really good, but when you really get down to it, it's not. There are other traits that are going to do more for you than this rotating, you know, chance of an extra crit every once in a while. It really doesn't keep up extra that extra crit chance. Okay. Alright, so moving right along. And we have our Tier 5 ability, Concussive Tachyon Emission. This is actually a really good ground ability. I highly recommend putting it on. The caveat here is that the shields that are taken down are restored after 8 seconds. So when you put this out, everything within 30 meters has a huge drain on their shields, and then those shields are then restored after about 8 seconds. Alright. And then of course our Tier 6 gives a rank 2 to everything, which is really good. We want that. Okay. Alright. So moving right along. Then we have, of course, and let's get rid of that. Or let's go with that. We can claim a fleet ship module, a retain token, a vanity shield, of course, and that is all from our Tier 6. Claiming Tier 6. Alright. And our normal gear. We have the Delta Alliance ground set. We have combat armor, which of course gives us some physical damage resistance, kinetic, and energy as well. Has some moderate root resistance and hold resistance, as well as knockback resistance. So this one will kind of keep you where you are, as well as giving a good amount of maximum hit points. And it reduces all energy damage to your shields by 20%. It's actually kind of a moderate thing there. Alright, and moving right along, we have our shield and normal shield capacity with 10% bleed through. And it does what all ground shields do. Rapidly regenerates after not taking damage for 3 seconds. And it also has a 50% shield drain resistance. That is the unique thing. And there is a 5% chance that plus 5 shield hardness for 30 seconds, and it can stack 3 times. Alright. And then we have, of course, our compression rifles. We have, because we are Tier 6, we have different things. We have the anti-proton, disruptor, disruptor and phaser. Alright. And let's see here, where were we? There it is. Okay. So our anti-proton gives us some anti-proton damage, of course, blah blah blah. So we have those, and they do everything that a compression rifle usually does. This does have a costume unlock. So when you get all 3 pieces of the Delta Alliance ground set, you can get a Tailor unlock that allows you to display the armor visuals. In addition to that, there are, of course, set powers. Yay! Okay, so the 2-piece set power is called Tactical Bio Circuitry. This is a passive set power, and it gives you some extra hit points, specifically 142 maximum hit points. That's a pretty good amount, and it gives you plus 5 run speed. So this would be another thing you could add to help to speed you up. There are a couple places where this is a good idea. If you do a lot of dilithium farming in the Dyson sphere, this is a good extra run speed. It's a good thing to have. Also competitive races etc., etc. Alright, so our three-piece set bonus, high frequency electromagnetic pulse. Okay, what this does, first of all, it does have a pretty long recharge, 1 minute 30 seconds. Okay, but it does have a large sphere that it affects. It can only affect 10 enemies maximum. And it destroys mechanical enemy turrets, drones, and small devices. It also disables ranged weapons for 6 seconds. So if you have an enemy that puts out a lot of turrets and drones and other things, then there you go. You shoot this out and it will destroy all of those as well as their weapons that they have. Alright, now we'll move on to our kit modules. So this character is a science character. So we have Neutronic Radiation. So Neutronic Radiation gives us a radiation cloud along with some extra reduced movement and negative all energy damage for 5 seconds. Okay, and it also damages all enemies within 10 meters of target. Nice little thing here. Alright, now if you don't happen to be science, you will have a different kit module. So if you are engineering, you will have the Neutronic Mortar. Alright, the Neutronic Mortar creates a Neutronic Mortar, obviously, for 180 seconds. Once every 9 seconds it gives kinetic damage, or it shoots off a mortar that gives kinetic damage with 50% shield penetration. It also has negative 25% reduced movement speed for 5 seconds and a debuff to all energy damage for 5 seconds. That is the engineering. The tactical kit module gives you a neutronic grenade. The neutronic grenade gives a bunch of kinetic damage with 50% shield penetration. Also gives a chance of knockback and a large chance of knockback at 70% and a negative 25% reduced movement speed and energy and all energy damage debuff for 5 seconds. Alright, and that is our kit modules. So we are moving right along. That takes care of ground. Now we move on to space, which is what everybody really wants to know about. No, I'm kidding. Okay, for our space, we actually have a couple interesting things in here. First, we have the Bio Gel Pack. Bio Gel Pack gives +2 power to all subsystems. It also gives a small amount of Starship shield capacity and a 7% cooldown reduction on bridge officer abilities. By itself, unless you are trying to get things down to global and really need the extra help, by itself, nothing to really write home about, but we can talk about how this plays in with the rest of the set in a bit. Alright, so then we also have the weapon that comes with the set, and we have a couple options here. We have the Advanced Thoron Infused Anti-Proton Dual Heavy Cannons. Anti-Proton is the secondary flavor, as it were. We have the original flavor, Polaron infused or Advanced Thoron Infused Polaron Dual Heavy Cannons, and these have the addition of See, they have crit severity from the mod. So these have, of course, the addition of the thoron infused thing. Okay. 5% chance unstable thoron radiation for 5 seconds, and that gives us radiation damage. It gives your foes negative 1% crit chance and negative 15% crit severity. The target is placated, So that is our thoron infusion there working. We also have, of course, if you don't like dual heavy cannons, you can use the beam arrays, which is what I usually use. And we have anti-proton, which is the secondary flavor. And then we have the original flavor, which is Polaron. So advanced thoron infused Polaron beam array, and of course is the same as your normal beam array, except it has the Polaron radiation, or unstable thoron radiation, excuse me, which gives the same as the beams. Okay? Alright, and then we have the Neutronic Torpedo launcher, and let me tell you, this thing can hit like a freight train at times, if done correctly. Alright, this also is a good shield buster, if you have your drain expertise high enough. Alright, we have some kinetic damage. We have 2 foes within 3 kilometers of impact. We have a large amount of radiation damage, which gives negative 15 to all subsystem power and negative 17.3% power transfer rate, or EPS, all for 6 seconds. And this is why it will drain shields if you have a good amount of drain expertise, because those numbers are affected by drain expertise. Alright, moving right along, we'll stop there and we'll talk about the set bonuses. Hello, Kirby. Okay. So we have our set bonuses for the 3-piece Delta Alliance Ordnance set for space, and that is efficient Bio Circuitry, and that gives a plus 13.8% radiation damage. That will boost the radiation damage that is given off by the thoron infusion or thoron infused beam array and by the Neutronic Torpedo, and plus 20% cooldown reduction to the Neutronic Torpedo, which is a good thing because the Neutronic Torpedo, because it is quantum based, has a long cooldown. I believe it's 12 seconds. So that's the 2-piece set bonus. The 3-piece set bonus is an Isokinetic Cannon. The Isokinetic Cannon gives a good amount of kinetic damage and 100% shield penetration. Now, the thing about the Isokinetic Cannon, is a nice little thing. It is affected by EPG. So if you are one of those space wizardry people that like to do these things, which I happen to be, then this ability may be something you want to consider. It's not, well, it is a, let me put it this way, it is a single target clickable. It has about a 1-minute cooldown. Yeah, it has a 1-minute cooldown, but it can be, if you have a high EPG, and by that I mean about 450, then this thing packs a wallop. It is up to you to decide if it is worth the 3 pieces, because we're talking a torpedo, we're talking a beam or a set of cannons, either a beam array or a cannon, and as well as the console. Okay, so it is up to you to decide whether it is worth that price for this clickable. Alright, but let me tell you, it can pack a wallop. Alright, now moving right along. Let's get back to our things. Okay, so now we have the final set, and that is the space set, and that is the deflector, engines, warp core, and shields. So for our deflector, we have a focus on shield and auxiliary power setting. We have a moderate amount of hull restoration and hull capacity, and a small amount of drain expertise. Okay, so this is more focused towards hull capacity and hull restoration. Alright, on our engines, we have a moderate amount of control expertise. You don't usually see that on engines, so a little interesting there. As well as a small amount of usual amount of flight speed and turn rate, as well as +5 engine power setting. Okay, and then we have our Trajector Core, and this is the warp core variant. So this reduces the transwarp abilities by 50%. It also gives an additional amount of shield power. Okay, 7.5 additional shield power, and +5 maximum shield power. So that means you can have your maximum at 130 instead of 125. It gives you warp 9.97 in space. It also gives you Starship Shield Subsystem Performance, which is bonus shield power, and adds 7.5% of your auxiliary power to your shield power as bonus power, which means it'll take whatever you have at your auxiliary, and it will add 7.5% of that to your shields. It also gives a small amount of drain expertise and a small amount of EPS, or electroplasma system flow, which means that you will have, your power will not drain as quickly when attacked, and you will have the ability to drain others' power quickly. And it also means that power will move from subsystem to subsystem a little quicker. And here we have the first time that we see it in a reputation warp core, the Trajector Jump. The Trajector Jump allows you to teleport 5 kilometers forward in whatever direction you're facing. It also gives you a little bit of stealth for a couple seconds once you do that, and it has a 1.5 minute recharge. So that basically means you're going to get to use that as a surprise once in your usual ISA or other thing. Alright, and basically the same kind of things for the Singularity Core. This is for the Romulans. You still have the Trajector Jump. You still have the cooldown for the transwarp abilities. You have your usual thing, +5 to 15 shield power based on your singularity charge. The higher your singularity charge, the more shield power you have. And yeah, same bonuses. Other than that, you get the EPS and the drain expertise bonuses. Alright, moving right along to our shields. And our shields, we have a maximum shield capacity of 9,000, almost 10,000. That, of course, is going to depend on your other bonuses. And then we have a 10% bleed through. We have a good amount of shield regeneration, which of course is going to depend on your bonuses as well. That's going to change. But it does reduce all energy damage to shields by 10%, and has a 50% shield drain resistance. That is what comes with it. It also has a reduction to polaron damage, phaser damage, and plasma damage based on, and that is its normal, those are its normal bonuses. Oof. Okay. There is also the Unimatrix shielding, which is unique to this, and that gives a 2.5% chance that 5% shield hardness for 30 seconds that can stack up to 3 times. So it gives you a bit of extra shield hardness at a 2.5% chance. Alright. And our set bonuses here. Let's see. Our set bonuses. For the 2-piece set, excuse Lursa there. Okay, now the dogs are quieted. 2-piece set, we have improved evasive maneuvers, which gives a 20 plus 25 additional defense rating when using the evasive maneuvers ability. Our 3-piece set bonus, Subspace amplified thrusters, which gives us plus 20% flight speed and plus 20% flight turn rate. That is a clickable ability. Our set 4 bonus is the prototype Tantalus field. And that gives us, let's see, the prototype Tantalus field is a clickable ability that eliminates from existence enemy mines, torpedoes, turrets, and small craft. It becomes available if you're using all 4, right? Okay, so it is a clickable ability. And it, as we said, it gets rid of mines, torpedoes, turrets, and small craft. And it does this, let's see how many, it does not say how many maximum. But it does have a range of 2 kilometers. It has a 2-minute cooldown. So, very long cooldown. And there you go. But it may be useful in things, for example, when you're fighting the Vaudois and they put out all those mines. That may be useful for this. So, there you go. Alright. And that is the 4-piece set for the Delta Space set. Alright, that is the Delta reputation. I hope you learned something here. This is Teacher Kirby signing off.